If you wake up with prickling sensations in your feet, if your fingers go dead without any clear cause, or if you experience searing, piercing, or shocking discomfort that doctors can't seem to diagnose, pay close attention for the next several minutes because what I'm going to reveal might clarify why your nervous system is deteriorating and, even more crucially, how to halt the destruction before it reaches an irreversible point. This isn't about symptom management. This is about safeguarding your nervous system while there's still time. Let me offer you a direct commitment from the start. By the conclusion of this presentation, you will comprehend the single most devastating toxin assaulting the nerves of older adults right now, a toxin nearly everyone encounters daily without any awareness. And you'll discover precisely what increases your vulnerability and what must be addressed. Not eventually, immediately. I've dedicated decades to helping older adults dealing with nerve discomfort, loss of sensation, scorching feet, unsteadiness, and something many are convinced they must simply accept, neuropathy. And one of the most disheartening things I witness is how frequently people receive incorrect explanations for why their nervous system is declining. They're informed it's aging, they're informed it's heredity, they're informed it's unavoidable. In numerous instances, none of this is accurate. So let me pose one direct question to you now, and this is your moment to engage. Have you felt prickling, loss of feeling, or scorching in your fingers or toes? And were you aware that elevated glucose could be harming your nerves even without a diabetes diagnosis? Share your response in the comments below because recognition is the primary defense, and once nervous system destruction passes a critical threshold, we cannot turn back time. Let me share a story about a patient called Frank. Frank had reached 68 years, had just finished his career and remained physically engaged, but his feet felt like they were on fire each night. His toes had no feeling throughout the day. Occasionally, he experienced sudden electrical jolts shooting down his legs unexpectedly. He was informed it was likely getting older, perhaps poor blood flow, perhaps just something that happens, but when we investigated thoroughly, we discovered something different. A daily encounter, something he believed was completely safe, was gradually destroying his nerves. When we eliminated it, the destruction didn't disappear immediately, but it ceased progressing, and that transformed his entire situation. Here's the question I want you to remember. What was that toxin, and how many older adults are unwittingly consuming it every single day? To understand that, you need to grasp something essential about nervous tissue. Nerves are biological structures. They are not electrical cables. They are fragile systems that depend on oxygen, proper nourishment, and consistent internal conditions to operate. Unlike outer tissue or muscle fibers, nerves recover extremely slowly. That means destruction builds up silently across time. Long before you experience discomfort, prickling, or deadness, your nerves might already be suffering. Now, here's where the truth becomes difficult to accept. The most damaging toxin consuming the nerves of seniors is not something extreme like factory pollutants or uncommon poisons. It's not even drinking by itself. The most damaging toxin is something much more ordinary, something numerous seniors are told to have regularly. The most damaging toxin destroying your nerves is persistent glucose poisoning, and this is essential to grasp. You do not require a diabetes condition for glucose to devastate your nerves. You only need recurring surges, and countless seniors face those surges daily without recognition. When glucose levels climb excessively, sugar particles bind to nerve strands and the microscopic vessels that nourish them. This triggers swelling, cellular damage, and harm to the insulating layer surrounding nerves. Across time, nerves lose their capacity to transmit accurate signals. That's when prickling begins, then deadness, then scorching, then discomfort, then instability. One of the greatest misconceptions in senior wellness is that neuropathy appears suddenly. It doesn't. It progresses silently, frequently for years, while the toxin continues operating beneath the surface. Let me pose something significant. Have you ever been informed you're on the edge of diabetes, or in the pre-stage, or informed your glucose is somewhat elevated, but nothing serious? That's frequently where nervous damage starts. In reality, Research now demonstrates that prediabetes triggers nerve destruction almost as frequently as complete diabetes. The distinction is that most individuals with prediabetes remain unaware they possess it. Now, I want to stop here because this is where numerous people respond, "But I consume nutritious foods and I trust you." Most of my patients think that as well. That's the challenge. The toxin is not apparent. It conceals itself inside foods and patterns that appear wholesome on the exterior. Let me guide you through how this toxin operates step by step. You consume something that surges glucose. Your system dispatches insulin to transfer that sugar into cells. Across time, cells develop resistance. Sugar remains in the circulation longer. Nerves, particularly the extended nerves in your feet and fingers, are subjected to harmful sugar concentrations repeatedly. The microscopic vessels that nourish those nerves become compromised. Oxygen transport decreases. Nerves gradually suffocate. And because this occurs progressively, people don't make the connection. They express things like, "It appeared suddenly," when truthfully, it's been developing for years. Here's another question to hold. If glucose poisoning is so destructive, why don't all seniors with elevated sugar develop neuropathy? The explanation is encounter frequency, length, and nerve strength. Some nerves withstand abuse longer than others, but once destruction passes a specific point, symptoms emerge and they frequently intensify rapidly. Now, let's discuss where this toxin originates in everyday existence. The first primary source is fluid sugar, fruit beverages, sweetened cafe drinks, athletic beverages, even supposedly wholesome blended drinks. Fluid sugar enters the circulation exceptionally rapidly because there's no roughage to decelerate it. That creates sharp surges that directly damage nerves. Seniors are frequently informed beverages are simple nourishment. In truth, it's one of the quickest methods to poison nerves. The second primary source is processed carbohydrates consumed isolated. Bread products, breakfast grains, crispy snacks, grains, noodles, particularly when consumed without protein or fats. These convert into sugar rapidly. Seniors are frequently recommended to consume simple to process foods, but simple processing frequently means quick sugar discharge. That sugar has nowhere to travel except into the circulation and onto nerve structures. The third source is continuous eating. When insulin remains raised throughout the day, nerves never receive a rest. There's no healing period. This is why constant eating is particularly damaging for nerve wellness. Nerves require stable environments to survive. Continuous sugar encounter keeps them inflamed. Now here's information most people never discover. Some pharmaceuticals can quietly intensify nerve destruction by disrupting nutrient uptake, particularly B vitamins. Certain stomach acid-reducing pharmaceuticals, diabetes pharmaceuticals, and cholesterol pharmaceuticals can drain B12 across time. B12 is critical for preserving the insulating layer around nerves. Without it, nerves become delicate and malfunction. Let me share about Susan. She experienced dead feet for years. Physicians attributed aging. When we examined her nutrient concentrations, she was critically lacking in B12. The cause wasn't her consumption, it was a pharmaceutical she had consumed reliably for years. Once addressed, her nerve destruction ceased advancing. Not reversed, but ceased. And that created complete transformation. Neuropathy is seldom triggered by one factor isolated. It's typically a mixture of glucose poisoning, swelling, nutrient drainage, and inadequate circulation. But glucose poisoning is the accelerator. It's the fuel on the flames. This matters because nerves possess a critical threshold. Initial destruction might trigger prickling or deadness. Advanced destruction triggers discomfort, stability challenges, tumbles, and loss of self-sufficiency. Once nerves expire, they are exceptionally difficult to restore. That's why halting the toxin early is so essential. Here's the segment I want you to absorb clearly. Neuropathy is not always recoverable, but in numerous instances it is stoppable from advancing, and that isolated can maintain your quality of existence, which leads us to the most significant question. And this is where section 2 starts. If glucose poisoning is the toxin, what counteracts it? What safeguards nerves? And what straightforward modifications can seniors implement to halt nerve destruction from advancing? In the following segment, I'll demonstrate how to recognize concealed glucose surges, the single consumption principle that safeguards nerves, the nutrients nerves desperately require past 60, and how to determine whether your nerve destruction might still be in the recoverable phase. Now, let's discuss the segment that actually provides you capability. If persistent glucose poisoning is the toxin quietly consuming your nerves, what counteracts it? What safeguards nerve structures? And what can you realistically implement, not as a healthcare expert, not as a wellness enthusiast, but as a senior who desires less discomfort, improved stability, and a future with greater self-sufficiency? This is where numerous people anticipate complicated solutions. They anticipate extreme nutrition plans, costly interventions, or wonder supplements. The reality is much simpler, and that's why it's so frequently disregarded. The first and most significant step in safeguarding your nerves is steadying glucose, not forcefully reducing it, not pursuing flawless numbers, but maintaining it consistent. Nerves don't require flawlessness, they require steadiness. Every sharp surge in glucose is like a minor chemical scorching to nerve structures. Fewer surges mean less destruction. That isolated can decelerate or even stop advancement. Here is the single most significant principle I teach seniors with neuropathy, and it's one most people have never discovered. Never consume carbohydrates isolated. Not fruit, not bread products, not crispy snacks, not breakfast grains. Carbohydrates consumed by themselves strike the circulation too rapidly. Sugar climbs sharply. Insulin floods and nerve restoration halts. But when carbohydrates are consumed with protein or beneficial fats, uptake decelerates dramatically. The same food that damages nerves when consumed isolated becomes much safer when consumed properly. This principle isolated clarifies why some seniors experience severe neuropathy while others don't. Even with comparable nutrition plans, it's not always what you consume, it's how you consume it. Let me provide you an actual illustration. A man, James, 74 years old, visited me because his legs felt weak and wobbly by early afternoon. He experienced scorching feet at night and dead toes throughout the day. He trusted he was consuming clean. Every morning he consumed a fruit blend with banana, tropical fruit beverage, and cultured dairy. What he didn't comprehend was that the fluid sugar struck his circulation before his muscles and nerves possessed any safeguarding. We eliminated the blend, substituted it with eggs and vegetables in the morning, and shifted a small serving of fruit to later in the day consumed following a meal. Within weeks, his nerve discomfort reduced, his stability enhanced, and his vitality lasted longer. Nothing extraordinary occurred. We simply ceased poisoning his nerves. The second primary step is removing fluid sugar completely. No beverages, no sweetened drinks, no blends. Even 100% natural beverage is pure sugar without roughage. Roughage is what decelerates uptake and safeguards nerves. Without it, sugar strikes rapidly and forcefully. Seniors frequently consume beverages because it's simple, mild, and advised. Regrettably, it's one of the quickest methods to intensify neuropathy. If you desire fruit, consume it whole in small servings and never on a vacant stomach. Fruit following a meal is much safer than fruit as a snack. This one modification isolated can dramatically decrease nerve irritation. The third step is nutrient safeguarding, and this is essential. Nerves demand specific nutrients to preserve their composition and operation. Primary among them is vitamin B12. B12 is critical for preserving the insulating layer around nerves called myelin. Without sufficient B12, nerves become vulnerable, delicate, and malfunction. Numerous seniors are lacking in B12 without recognition, particularly those consuming acid-reducing medications or specific pharmaceuticals. But B12 is not the only nutrient nerves rely on. Magnesium facilitates nerve communication and decreases cramping and twitching. Folate operates alongside B12 to safeguard nerve structures. Alpha-lipoic acid assists decrease cellular damage in nerves and has been demonstrated to enhance neuropathy symptoms in some individuals. These nutrients don't cure nerve destruction, but they assist steady and safeguard what remains. Now, here's a significant warning: more is not superior. Some vitamins, particularly B6 in elevated amounts, can actually intensify nerve destruction if consumed improperly. This is why examination and direction matter. Speculation can be damaging. The fourth step is decreasing persistent swelling. Swelling sensitizes nerves and intensifies discomfort signals. It transforms mild nerve irritation into severe scorching or piercing discomfort. Heavily processed foods, processed seed oils, and excessive sugar all fuel swelling. On the other hand, foods like fatty fish, olive oil, vegetables, and spices such as turmeric assist calm swelling pathways. Less swelling means quieter nerves. The fifth step is movement, but not the kind most people dread. You do not require intense activity to safeguard nerves. In reality, extreme activity can intensify symptoms. What nerves require is circulation. Gentle walking, particularly following meals, assists reduce glucose and enhances blood movement to nerve structures. Even 10 minutes can create a distinction. Movement is medicine when implemented properly. At this moment, I want to address something significant. Numerous seniors feel discouraged when they discover nerve destruction is slow to recover. That's accurate. Nerves restore extremely slowly, if at all. But halting advancement is just as powerful as reversing destruction. Less discomfort, improved sleep, enhanced stability, fewer tumbles. Those modifications matter. One of the most damaging beliefs seniors are provided is that nothing can be implemented. That belief itself becomes dangerous. I've witnessed people surrender early only to intensify rapidly because the toxin was never eliminated. Let me share another account. A woman in her early 70s visited me using a walking stick. She felt wobbly and fearful of tumbling. She had been informed her neuropathy was unchangeable. When we steadied her glucose, addressed nutrient deficiencies, and eliminated fluid sugar from her nutrition plan, her nerve discomfort decreased enough that she no longer feared walking short distances. She didn't become discomfort-free, but she recovered assurance. That's existence transforming. This leads us to a crucial point. Neuropathy is not just about discomfort, it's about self-sufficiency. It's about being capable to sense the ground beneath your feet, to respond rapidly, to trust your legs. Once neuropathy advances too far, the vulnerability of tumbles climbs sharply, and tumbles are one of the greatest threats to senior wellness and longevity. That's why timing matters. Initial nerve destruction responds superior than advanced destruction. Prickling and mild deadness are warning signals, not final judgments. They are messages informing you something requires modification. Now let me provide you a straightforward, practical method to take command for the following 2 to 4 weeks. Eliminate fluid sugar completely. Combine all carbohydrates with protein or beneficial fats. Consume fruit only following meals in small servings. Walk for 10 minutes following eating when feasible. And if you haven't had your B12 concentrations examined, request it. Do not modify pharmaceuticals on your own, but be conscious of their potential impact on nutrients. Monitor what occurs. Pay attention to your symptoms. Numerous seniors notice less scorching at night, enhanced sleep, and steadier stability. Even small enhancements matter because they inform you the destruction is not yet fixed in stone. Here's something I want to express very clearly. Anyone guaranteeing a wonder cure for neuropathy is not being truthful, but anyone informing you nothing can be implemented is also incorrect. There is a wide space in between, and that's where genuine progress exists. Neuropathy is frequently the outcome of years of silent destruction. It makes sense that enhancement takes time, but halting the toxin is always the first step.